I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we are together again, no matter how long, but actually in person. And we're at like the old the Dunnigan mansion here.
Not the mansion.
Looking out the top floor window.
It's this is the in town visiting my folks. And we're doing it in the room we first started doing the podcast in, other than Spencer's house. So it feels, it's the first time I think we've been recording this room since I moved away and visited here and there.
Because we've utilized it once in a blue moon.
But it's literally once in a blue moon, and now it's just like, oh shit, yeah, back in here. And now it's like, because this was my old room, now it's my dad's man cave. So,
and it's also too, you also could kind of remember, it's like, oh yeah, it's. Even though we're like in like late winter, coming close to spring or so, give or take, it's still like, yeah, it's pretty fucking hot up here still. It doesn't really matter what time of year it is.
Not properly ventilated at all.
No, it's always kind of like that. I guess you're just sitting on the sunny side and you're in the practical. You're pretty much sitting in the roof. I mean, look at it. There's like how much more space is there before we actually hit the roof?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's like being in the attic.
If this is if there was like a zombie disaster movie or some core, like head for the roof. You go through like those windows, right?
Skylights and everything. You escape out there. Kick a couple guys off. Ah!
Someone gets pulled in. Like, no! They got Billy.
He's gone. We can't go back.
Yeah.
One of those moments like that.
The helicopter's already kind of coming down. That type of shit.
Yeah, it's just be like you got to carry on.
This kind of whenever I come back to town, I always get just a little nostalgic. I was thinking of like when we would play Left 4 Dead a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that game, I mean, after a while the game gets a little old, but it was really fun. But there was something about that game, like those that make you actually feel like a zombie movie, just not because of you're fighting zombies. There's that thing where it's like you're in like the truck that you used to get on shows up, and you get right on the truck, but then like one zombie with like a tongue shoots out, grabs you, pulls you out right as the car is
going. You're watching your buddies like go backwards in a sense.
It's like that is definitely something you'd see in a zombie movie.
What's the nice thing though is they finally, after all these years, are making a new Left 4 Dead.
Really?
I mean, I think Valve just got to that point where they're like, fuck it, we got Steam, like, money just rolls in, like, why even make games?
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like, I know they did that Half-Life VR game that apparently is supposed to be the top-notch VR one, and then they got, it's called something like, it's not like Left 4 Dead, but it's like something 4 Dead.
Oh, okay.
But it's like technically like the third
spiritual successor kind of thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think it technically is kind of the thing, because it's from there, but that just reminded me of that. But no, that did always give you that good feeling and so on. Man, you can never get enough Left 4 Dead, but I don't know, that always just kind of reminds me even too, like, not staying dead or anything like that, but just like, when you kind of get older and you start getting these like, almost like Kung Fu Master type like thoughts where, you're like walking through the woods and it's quiet and you have your hands behind your back and, there's almost like a narration playing, but that's just the movie that you've made up as going around. When you start having like camera angles in your own life? But there is that sort of thing where like,
you imagine like, all right, this would be like that Scorsese, that shot Scorsese did in like Goodfellas where you see him walking the street, zooms out, it's like a rear view mirror or something.
It's kind of like in your own mind, you have like the third person view of yourself, like as if you're watching it as a movie.
Mm.
It's kind of like sometimes when I always think about like when I dream, is a lot of times it will come in like, it's like made in like movie. It's not necessarily always first person. Sometimes it's like, they're like, well, this is what Spencer said, this is the best way to explain to him.
Yeah, well, my dreams are usually, like, so fucking abstract. I barely remember them when I wake up. Like, what the fuck happened? I don't know.
That's mostly me, too. I mostly never do.
But there is that thing about, like, you said when you just start to get set in your old man ways, where you start, like, okay, because there's that point where everything new is catered to you, and then you start to see that things are not catered to you as much, so then you almost get kind of more comfortable with just being, like, in your own little bubble kind of thing. Is that where that was kind of...
I was kind of thinking about that, because, sometimes when you talk to certain people, and certainly, there's other folks out there and so on, you start realizing when you can see, that gets that point in, like, a certain age where, you'll notice if maybe some other friends or people you kind of meet where they start doing that thing where it's almost like, I'm just not really into new things anymore. Like, they'll, like, pretty much say it like that, where it's just like, I'm going to stick to, like, 1992 to 2002, and that's it. And this is weird because I think about that with like adults. You think about like certain like I guess we're adults, but you know what I mean, like adults that are older than us,
real adults.
Yeah, like adults.
Every adult older than us is a real adult.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just like I was just thinking like my grandpa. Like he'd be like 90 years old, and he would still refer to everybody who was younger than him as the kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They could be 60 years old, but they're still the kids.
62-year-old kid over there, being so fucking loud,
So
playing,
fucking entitled.
playing his fucking Beach Boys.
Yeah, out there shining up his 56 Chevrolet.
Listening to the animals. We're men, we're not animals, damn it.
Yeah.
I want you to get out of this place. We gotta get out of this place. Get out of this place, you ungrateful little fucks.
You were supposed to go to Vietnam. But it is that one though that like I feel like I've just started noticing of certain just like people kind of around our age that they've kind of like they've gotten that point where they got to I almost feel like it's like a comfort area, but it's also a bit of a laziness, of like they just go like, I'm not going to listen to anything new. I'm not really going to care to watch anything new. I'm not going to play anything new. I'm going to stick to what I know, and that's it. And then you almost become locked in that bubble. And in my opinion, like I feel like I don't want to get kind of very locked in that. I want to kind of feel fresh. Now, you don't want to be that older guy who's like trying to hang out with the 15-year-olds because that gets fucking weird quick.
Yeah.
And there always is that guy. I remember, this sounds so strange, but I was talking to another friend, and he was talking about like he had this like Team Fortress like group that they used to play together like in the 2000s. He's like, I logged on in the other day and like somehow somewhat like all the people that we played with are kind of there. But then he talked about these like there was this one guy who was like 35 years old, but when they were 15, so now this guy's like 55 years old. And it just I'm like it already seemed kind of awkward when he's like the 35-year-old guy like hanging out like, hey kids, what's going on?
Yeah, I can see that being kind of awkward. Well, who had to be really awkward, and we'll get back on that main topic in a second, but it had to be really awkward when it was like, let's say that you're one of those people who's ahead of the curve, and you work for Nintendo Power, or like an early video game magazine, and I guess Nintendo Power probably wasn't out like in the 80s so much, maybe
89.
89?
I think it's 88 or 89, because the first one has Mario 2 on the cover.
Oh, okay, so probably like 88 or 89, yeah, okay. So nothing to like 85 or 86. But like, to kind of like be interested in this thing, like, oh, you know what? I think video games are really cool, and then just be viewed at like, well, who else are you gonna fucking talk to about it other than like a 10-year-old at that point, Well,
that's like the one where I guess all you have is work friends by that standard. Everybody that happens to be in Nintendo Washington is the only people you talk to.
Yeah.
Probably it's like one of those ones when you go to like one of like the electronics like gaming conventions or whatnot. That's where you go, oh shit, other adults my age. We're like, I just sell this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't actually play it? No.
Who's your favorite Mario character? What's your favorite upgrade? Like, I don't know.
My favorite Mario character is the one that makes the most money.
So Mario.
So right now it's Contra. That's my favorite Mario character.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. But so there is that thing about, because I remember there is like, when you're younger, you see, I'm thinking like, wait, the guy with the van, nothing like that. But it's like, there's those things.
The guys with the van who like holds the Jesus signs up outside like school, and you're like,
oh, I got.
And it's like a 10-year-old kid. You're going like this, like, hey principal, are you gonna call the cops on this guy or what?
There was one that actually did that, and they actually did call the cops on him, and then they moved down. There was like some. I gotta share this story. We could get off topic here, but I remember it was like day after Revenge of the Sith came out. I already saw it, but another friend of ours has not seen it. And we're like, let's go see it after school. So we were just
that was Revenge of the Sith was like, let's go see it very many times over and over.
Yeah. So we're all and he was pulling out, and there was a guy, and he had like a big pickup truck and a big like billboard sign of two guys kissing with an X through it. It said, homosexuality is a sin. Let Jesus Christ set you free, or some shit like that.
He probably had a van that had all kinds of stickers and signs all covered to the brim.
I think he had that. And it was like some old hillbilly-looking fuck, just like waving. I think he even had like his pants like an Urkel length up his gut and like suspenders like, over a wife beater, just like waving at people. My friend leans out the door and yells, "Suck a dick!" He just keeps driving. And then he's driving, and all of a sudden, because he's going to get gas or whatever, says, "Oh shit, the guy's following us." Like, what?
The guy's chasing after you in the Jesus mobile.
And then no, he's not. I'm just fucking with you. Like, oh fuck, because if that was the case, this thing cannot get away from it. I saw that truck.
Yeah, There's those guys like that. I'm always kind of surprised they allow them to like sort of like appear. I mean, like I guess when it's in town.
Hey, it's freedom of speech.
Yeah. But when it's at school, I feel like isn't this a separation of church and state? Well, he's on the outside of the property. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, there's that kind of shit.
Can we throw stones at him from here?
Oh yeah,
go for it, kids.
Jose, like a fucking day worker, like a guy, like a custodian comes out with a bunch of like rocks.
Yeah, just like in a wheelbarrow pours it out.
All right, freedom of speech,
kids just start fucking chucking stones. Oh, stop it, guys! Just trying to give the word a out.
We're just keeping true to the Bible. There's a lot of stonings in that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, since we're 10 years old, we have no sin.
Just gonna go to
so
church.
We can check wrecks all day.
We go to church on Sunday and like get this all cleared up. You're not Catholic though. You don't have confession. I'll go to someone else. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. One of those guys.
God will forgive me. He does that.
Just get that guy out of here and so on.
But no, there is that thing about when you get a certain age, it almost seems like at times it's gonna sound so lazy because it's probably easier now than any other point to kind of get into something new. Because
you just go like, oh, I want to listen to new music. Oh, I'll just get a Spotify account.
Yeah, it's really the easiest thing in the world to do to just get into something new now. But there is a little bit of that thing of like, do I want to put the time into it? So, I mean, you said you don't want to be that lame old guy. I'm kind of in the middle. Because there are those times I just slip right back into my little like seat of comfort. You know, like, okay, 90s music, okay, like Super Nintendo, N64 generation type games, you know. And then there's that time where something new does come out and it does pique my interest, but there's like a lot of the new stuff that comes out. I mean, when I was younger, when I was like in high school and you didn't have to pay rent, but you still had a job, I'd blow all my money on whatever game that just kind of interested me, kinda.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, okay, True Crime Streets of LA for PlayStation. Let's see what this is all about, you know? And then like, the game was kind of whatever, but it would just you just roll the dice on random things because you didn't have to worry about money as much. Because, you know, if I could just trade it in at GameStop or the local video game store and get something else if I don't like it. But then you do reach that point where just kind of like you like what you like and you kind of stick with it, but there's some new games that come out that I just have zero interest in playing. Like, I'm sure if I played God of War 4 or whatever, it'd be amazing, but I just...
Well, I told myself, like, because I bought, like, all the other previous God of Wars and never really played them, so I'm like, well, there's no way I'm playing this other one until I finally get around to playing these other ones I bought. And everybody's like, that's okay, dude, you don't have to play the other ones. It's like, no. It's the concept of buying is the reason that I feel I do not deserve to play the other one, is because I bought all the other ones and then just never got around to playing them, because there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah, no, there's that. Well, my big thing with it is just, like, after a while, even though I had God of War 1, I thought it was fun, it's like, Kratos, he looks cool, and I get it, he's supposed to be like a big badass, but he's just kind of a fucking douche. And it's not, I know you're not supposed to be the greatest guy, you're just this guy who's on like a bloodthirsty manhunt, but there's just, you know, after a while, I would just see him in other games and all that, and I'm just like, he's just kind of a fucking asshole. All he just wants to do is, I mean, you say this like, oh,
he's like the definitive like shaved head guy who's always picking on someone.
Yeah, it kind of comes across that way. Now, I guess the fourth one, they're trying to do the Logan thing, like, I used to fucking kill everything that came across my path. Yeah. Was I wrong? You know, that's what the fourth one is, I guess.
I was the guy handing out wedgies left and right.
Well, I guess now it's also kind of like a lot more introspective stuff, because now
it's like, now I have a kid who gets picked on because he's a fucking nerd in school, like, I don't know how to live up myself.
Boy, yeah. Did you see the,
He reads, for crying out loud. Reads, Martha!
I didn't train that boy. How did he learn to read? I didn't teach him to read. All I taught him how to kill.
No one in the Kratos family reads. It's a proud tradition of non-reading.
There is, I can't even spell my own fucking name. I just kill my problems. Served me good so far. No, the thing with I was gonna say something about God of War or something about those games. I don't know. There's like just something about a lot of those new games. Like, they come out and I just have trouble just getting into them. And I'm sure if I gave them a chance, they'd be good. But it's like, but I think it's also like PlayStation 4 runs out of memory so quickly, and I've still yet to get that separate hard drive.
Oh, yeah, that's like, you have to. It's like a must nowadays to have like the extra hard drive.
Now I'm just like, what do I want to get rid of to make room for this game that's going to take up all the data? I think the first game that took up like all the data on my PS4 was like PlayStation, was like was Final Fantasy 15 or something.
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. Is once the games start getting to like 100 gigs plus, it's just like that's why I think it's just retarded that like the PS5 and Xbox 4 or whatever, Xbox Series X, like don't have. It's like they should have bare minimum like 2 terabytes, but they just probably just go like, oh no, most of our audience they only play like 2. They play Madden and Call of Duty, like so why do they need more than that?
Yeah, well, I guess it's when it comes to new shit, that's one of the things like Fortnite or whatever. I have zero interest in playing that game.
Well, there's some of the like those kind of games. I mean, like I'll say it's like. It's not that there's like just certain new things that like might not be into, but like I feel like that's just like a different audience type game. You know what I mean? Like that's made for. I get it. It's made for somebody else. Like I've just never been myself like a super hardcore like I like that competitive onlineness. I don't know. I always like my games kind of have to have a backbone of a story and like a progressiveness of like from point A to point B, not just that constant rotation of like arcade like chaos.
There was a new game I tried out not too long ago. I downloaded it, then I kind of got rid of it like probably about like a year later, or 2 years later maybe. It was called Dreams, and it's from the company that did Little Big Planet. And
see, that's where it would have lost me. Because
I didn't know it was Little Big Planet at first, but at the same time, it's actually trying to push. It's trying to push it more. It's not just make blocks and now you have a sack man. It's almost trying to let you give you the tools of making a game and then posting on like an online social media thing. And it doesn't have to be the little sack dude thing. It doesn't have to. It could be platforming. It could be shooting. It could even be a movie or whatever. So, and I was looking at some of the stuff. I'm like, oh wow, you could do some interesting things with this. Yeah. So I was looking around. There was some games on there that I played and that I thought were fun, but I was trying to do it myself. But the thing that almost pushed me away is it's like the narration. I get they're trying to be clever because the way you assemble it, it's kind of awkward to do with a controller. It's easier to do with a mouse and keypad.
Yeah, it's probably meant to be a computer game.
Yeah, so maybe I might go back and give it a shot on Steam or something. But as far as like PlayStation, I don't recommend it just because it was just awkward trying to remember how to click and move everything around, But anyway, the other thing about it though is they had this the narrator person giving you the tutorial was like, okay, in Dreams you can make whatever you want. Let's see what you can do. Look at you! Good job! Like, anytime you do, like, the simplest, smallest thing, it's like patting you on the head. Like, here, we can take the helmet off now. Yeah! It's just like one of those things. Like, anytime you do just the faintest thing, it would just be so, like, is this thing being very ostentatious to me? Like, is it just trying to, like, oh, you changed the color. You're so smart.
Probably is. Probably trying to give you a little too much credit.
So that's where
patronize you a bit.
Yeah, so that's where I'm just like, I don't know if I can put up with this to learn how to fucking build all this shit. So fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to games, it's not the fact that like it's jumping into something new, but I think it's like. I look at some people like that, it's like, not like you gotta play everything. I'm not saying like you gotta keep up like you fucking work for like a review magazine and you're like the Leonard Maltin of video games. That seems like the most old man reference. Like, who are you? I'm the Leonard Maltin of video games.
Well, I guess if we did have a Leonard Maltin, I mean, maybe there's probably older,
that'd be like,
critics, Adam Sessler.
Well, I was gonna say Adam Sessler, or like, I was gonna say even older is, what's his name from Nintendo Power, the redhead guy. The guy who's like the Jimmy Olsen of Nintendo Power.
The guy who's always just like...
The guy who's with
very awkward and kind of like looks like, I wish I had a soul, whenever they have a Nintendo Direct. And that guy...
Well, no, because he hasn't been in Nintendo for like 25 plus years, but...
No, well, there's a guy in...
He was the game master from like the 80s into like the early 90s, and then he went to Sega for a bit, of course.
Oh, okay. There's some guy that's always on the Nintendo Directs who's a redhead, and he always comes across so awkward and so like... Hello, I work, and even though I love Nintendo, he's like, I work for Nintendo, yet I still lack a soul, and not like he's a dick.
Like when they got like those terrible voiceovers sometimes for certain like games.
In some games, you have the
I always call it like there's like that GameStop kind of voiceover where it's like, hi, you should be into video games because that's what video games is the new in thing. And like if I hear that voice, I'm like, nope, video done.
It's not even that.
Not listening to your trailer.
It's not even that, but it's more of like a It's like when they first presented the Amiibos, they were doing the Treehouse like things in Nintendo Direct. He's like, "Oh, it's me, Mario." "Oh, I'm sorry, you caught me playing with the Amiibos." I'm like, "Well, this is fucking unsettling."
It'd better if it was almost like more like Spaceballs or whatnot. And you had like the Peach figure and the Mario figure,
just like going at it.
So I was like, like someone walks in. I didn't see you coming. Did you see me playing with my Amiibos again?
Shigeru Miyamoto. Just comes... Or at that
time, no, sir, I did not see you playing with your Amiibos.
At that time, Reggie.
It's like, boy,
Are you playing with the amiibos again? We gotta sell those! But they're mine! Just like beats him off camera, like, hi, I'm Reggie.
Just as he's beating him. He's got like a teaching stick.
Oh, he's giving his whole spiel. This year at Nintendo, we got some big things we want to present to you.
Yeah, like something
just throughout like the whole thing. Just see where that goes. Like, well, you know, believe it or not, people want to buy amiibos now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, a little bit of violence goes.
The one they want the most is the Marth one, because that was the one he was beating him with.
Yeah, he was poking him in the eye with the sword. It's so pointy. But I think the key thing is though, it's not necessarily about like keeping up with everything like you are the Leonard Maltin in the fucking video games, and then you get to that point. But I mean, just like. There's some people I feel like they almost like they'll put down things just because it's new. It has nothing to do with what really the genre is or something like that. But it's just like, I'm just not really into it because it's new, because it's different, because it's something I don't know. You know, even though it'll be the stuff like, it'll be like a new Zelda or a new like Mario. I'll be like, whatever. It's, you know, it's not, you know, the 64 Mario, so I don't care. And it's almost, I feel like when you get to that point, it's like, that's a dangerous place to be at.
I was kind of like, slowly sliding into that for a minute. Not entirely. I was interested. But like Mario Odyssey, there's a point where I would have got Mario Odyssey day one and played it all the way through. I didn't get Mario Odyssey till like a year and a half later, maybe 2 years later. And now I love the game.
And then you're kicking yourself because you didn't get it so early.
I'm not kicking myself, but I mean, I'm
kicking myself, just crying myself the slave!
I had other games. It was just more of just like time and all
I know, that's the thing is I told everybody, like, I was like, dude, Mario Odyssey's fucking sick. And everybody just looked at me like, yeah, whatever, I'll get it when I feel like it.
No, I wanted to get it. I'm not kicking myself because eventually I got it.
Yeah, sure. Sounds like a whole lot of fun.
Reliving my childhood, but with a new twist. Yeah. No, that game is a lot of fun.
There's like some games I feel like I try to sell real hard, and then I'll get certain responses from people.
But I don't think Mario Odyssey needs help. Something like that it will be just fine. Like an indie game, I get.
Well, no, I mean, like, I'm not trying to say sell it to everybody. I'm trying to sell it just a select group of people, I guess, at the end of the day.
No, that game is definitely, I probably like that game more than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I thought so too. I remember when Mario Odyssey came out, I was like, shit, this is the Nintendo Switch game. Like, that's the pinnacle game that they kind of came out with. It was so good, you know. And I think because it like, don't get me wrong, I like the Marios previously. I love Galaxy, I like Sunshine and all that stuff like that. But I really did feel like Mario Odyssey. It's like that was the one that was like as solid as you could get as a fucking Mario game. Like, how could you not like that?
Well, if we're switching gears to Mario for a second, when it goes to 3D Mario 64 was amazing when you first played it, and still amazing now, even by how far it's come. But in Mario 64, you could still see that even as much of a jump as that game made, there are still things they're trying to figure out and trying to balance out. So even as a kid, even though loving that game, I was like, it feels, some aspects of it, even though there's a lot to do in that game, still feels somewhat barren, if you know what I mean. When you know Mario's huge cast of characters, at the end of the day, it's just Mario, occasionally you fight Bowser, and then you have just like one of like 10 different bad guys you kill. And then Peach at the end and Yoshi at the very top of the building. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love that game. I'm not complaining. But even as a kid, I understood the limitations and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So then when you get to Sunshine, like, this is also that point where kids are coming in like, Nintendo's for fucking babies. And like, no, wait till the new Mario comes out. It's Mario Sunshine, you know?
I remember that game was a tough one when you were going to like
freshman year of high
freshman
school.
Year, around that time period, like trying to, when you have Xbox gamers around you, like Xbox gamers at that time period, I feel like those Xbox gamers have kind of dissipated as time goes on, because now Xbox just seems kind of like it could be anybody's system. But at that time period, Xbox gamer felt like there was that guy, he was going to get into the military, he was going to kill some Iraqis, you know what I mean? He was ready, he was like, hoorah!
He had a tramp stamp of Master Chief, yeah.
Yeah, like the Xbox gamers, like, and they just looked at Nintendo like that was the stupidest, pussiest fucking system around. So, like, Nintendo was really not even helping the cause. Because when they came out with fucking Wind Waker and Mario Sunshine, granted, both great games, but, like, you're like, yo, Nintendo, I gotta go to fucking school and try to argue why your game is gonna be awesome compared to fucking, you know, Halo and fucking, like, Blood Rain and shit like Grand Theft Auto.
Well, it's also, like, the thing about it is, at that point in time, they realized, because there was a point when you would have an M-rated game, not M-rated, but I guess M for the time, M being like 13. This is MA. for 13-year-olds.
Oh yeah, if you go back to the original rating system.
Yeah,
the Sega rating system, technically.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh my god, Mortal Kombat or, Street Fighter. Oh, so violent, and then like, we don't know about this violent video games. And then they get over. Then the next thing you go into like, PlayStation, and that's where he's probably pushing a little bit more of like the crazier stuff of Twisted Metal and whatnot. And there's that game that never came out about corrupt people in hell. It felt like Power Stone.
Kill.
Yeah, Thrill Kill. And then you come out to like, GameCube era, PS2, Xbox. By that point, PS2 and Xbox are totally leaning into, all right, what do kids like at this point? Well, at this point, a lot of kid audiences are like, 14, 15. They like guns and like tits. Okay, just as many games as possible.
And they really like the Matrix. Keep that in mind.
If we have a slow-mo option in every game, do it.
Yeah, Blood Rain, keep it going. Max Payne, you got it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mario, then here comes like Nintendo, like, hey guys, like with a roller backpack.
He's on a tropical vacation with a bunch of dirty tourists.
Well, that was the
thing. Or locals, I guess, not tourists. Because those guys are like, they're like, oh, the fucking Italians here. He's probably causing all this dirty paint and.
I said it then, I say it now. Fuck the people of Isle Delfino.
Those guys are all fucking jerk-offs.
Mario should be just fucking like, you know what? I've saved this universe so many times.
Yeah.
I think I can let these guys fucking die. I think he should have just got out of there. Like, got that little, like, flood thing. Like, Peach, we're going to Mexico!
Start flooding the whole, like, island.
He's like, he could have easily probably, like, snapped a few necks of those palm tree people and just got back in the plane. Like, we're getting the fuck out of here. Yeah, I flew a plane in Mario Land. I know how this shit works.
Yeah. It is that one where just like everybody there just being like a fucking ass to you the whole time. Like,
and then the Toads are like, Mario, I don't know about this. You shut the fuck up, Toad. We need defense. He opens up the back hatch. Throw the fucking turtle shells at him. Buddy, for all I know, he has a family. What family? Family sticks together. He's fucking dead to us, Toad. Throws. Toad can't do it. He says, Peach, take the wheel. But Mario, take the fucking wheel. He runs back there. He's like shooting the flood thing down at like the plane chasing him.
I'm filling the flood cannon with acid.
Yeah.
Mario, I'm gonna burn their faces off.
Like, Mario,
I learned this tactic from Wario.
Mario, we didn't know you had this side to you. We're not in the Mushroom Kingdom. We're not in God's eye.
It really is true. Like, nobody knows about this fucking island. Shit. Princess Peach, did you know about this island? Like, yeah, I used to vacation out there. Shut the fuck up. I never heard about this. Being a guy from Brooklyn, you ain't gonna know this shit.
Like, she's like, why do you think we really came down to this island in the first place? Like, well, I came down to, get some sun, maybe have a cocktail. I came to watch a donkey show, or what are those fucking caterpillar things that jump on? They like get pissed off when you jump
wigglers?
On? Yeah, I came to watch the donkey show equivalent of one of those things. Maybe do some PCP in a bathroom. I don't fucking know. I didn't come to clean up a fucking island I didn't fuck up.
This is why I didn't bring my fucking brother, because you know how he gets. Whenever you bring up, like, oh, we're gonna watch a fucking Wiggler show. He gets all fucking weird and scared and whatnot. He just can't handle that stuff. He might throw up somewhere and it's fucking disgusting.
The funniest thing is, who's ever blowing the Wiggler, the funniest thing is, what, in the middle of that, chuck a can at the fucking Wiggler, see what it does.
Oh, when it gets pissed, it starts fucking hardcore. And guess what? Island Delfina ain't nothing like the fucking brochures make it out to be.
Fuck that island, I hope it fucking sinks.
You know what?
No, but that game.
You know what's kind of interesting though is that new the Bowser's Fury that's included on the Mario 3D Land or 3D World, whatever Plus. Mm-hmm. That version on the Switch. That thing actually has. It sounds kind of weird, but at first it's like, oh shit, it's got kind of a Mario Sunshine sort of vibe to it, because that for a while felt like a game that people wouldn't have gone back to as much, because it was kind of looked upon like. It's not that people dislike Mario Sunshine or anything like that, but it was like Mario Sunshine and Wind Waker were kind of almost like the black sheep of like those games for a moment, because I think once again it had to do with those fucking Xbox fans and like kids going to school being like, fucking Nintendo, you show me this trailer of fucking Link battling Ganon and whatnot, it looks so fucking sick, it's like the best graphics of all time, and then a fucking year later, you bring out the Wind Waker, and it's like cartoon fucking bullshit Link from like, looks like he's fucking like less of a cartoon than the fucking 80s cartoon, you know?
I remember seeing a still of it, like right when they're saying, no, this is the new Zelda game, like, you're fucking with me, right? And just looking at it, it was a picture of him, because you know when you have like, you pull the little like, music stick out, and he's
doing that.
He has the thing. He has one finger up, like ooh, and his eyes move. He has that O mouth, like ooh, and I just saw like a picture of where he's doing that, like looking left or something. And I was like, that can't be the fucking thing. That can't be the fucking thing. And then looking more into the game, like I'm not big on the aesthetic, but I'll check it out. And sure enough, I love the game.
Yeah, sure enough, the game's amazing, and I think it's one of those ones like once you're past the age of like middle school / like high school, I think that game is totally fine. But when you're in like that primal state of like going around with like, you know, the apes around your school going, pounding your chest, you know what I mean, swinging on a tree, you know, trying to impress a girl for some reason, because for some reason that was my favorite part. You'd watch these people that, like, there was always those boys that'd be, like, I always call them, like, suitors. Like, they'd try to impress girls, but really what they would do is they would literally be, like, George of the Jungle, where they're, like, throwing leaves up in the air and swinging on trees and, like, wrestling each other and just, like...
You said one time there's literally, because this is, you're not making this up.
No, it was,
one time, because where you guys usually hung out, because we hung out in school, but we were more, like, we kind of hung out later. Before that, though... You guys hung out in this one spot where you can kind of look at the hill where all the popular kids hung out. And there would be, I want to say there was like this one girl, I don't remember her name, but there was this one girl who was really pretty, but she was very bookish. In one of those few cases where it's kind of like the girl next door out of a John Hughes movie. Like, oh, what? I'm pretty? I'm popular? I didn't know.
Yeah, like she'd be like sitting there reading a novel like against the tree and like the wind blowing. Well, this was almost like sort of like a slightly different group, even like... You know, this was like almost like an offshoot, like it was related group, but like it was kind of an offshoot.
Few similar friends.
But I used to always call them like, well, I referred to them as the Brianna suitors, so that's who it was. And like, but I just remember like it was if you watched it from afar, it was like a National Geographic documentary. You know what I mean? Because you'd be like, there'd literally be one kid swinging on like the branches like an ape, the other one's doing backflips off the tree, like thinking that this is gonna work because like I guess like it's like that primal nature that like she will like me because I am athletic.
Yeah, well, it's also that
you know, one of them's throwing leaves up, going. Two of them are like, you know, Greco-Roman wrestling in the corner,
and she's not even paying attention. They're like, look, we gotta act like we're doing this because we want to, but deep down we want her to see it and see like how good I am at like backflipping off a tree because that's gonna help me get like into college.
It really is that thing that like, there's that small thing that you can almost tell like pretty much any high school person that like. All you have to do is be the guy that sits down and talks to her. Don't be the fucking one doing all the fucking monkey skills out there, because that's not going to help you. You know, she doesn't care if you can swing on the tree and do a backflip.
Talk to her when she's done with the book. Nobody likes the person interrupting.
Yeah, you don't want to interrupt the book, too. Yeah, make sure you pick your moments. But
oh, what are you reading? Is it good? I don't know. I'm only one page in.
Yeah, it's a comic book. Does it have pictures?
No, doesn't have that. Like, well, that's this conversation ends. Just walks away. That's all. That was my move.
I'm gonna go dig a hole with my hands.
He's walking past his friends like, I tried.
Just starts fucking digging a hole like a dog, just shooting dirt out behind him. Like, what are you doing? Well, I'm burying my heart.
Don't need this no more. Took a stab at love, didn't pan out.
Yeah, it's just kind of how it goes and so on like that. You know, I'm supposed to bury up my copy of Mario Sunshine because I guess I'm joining up the military tomorrow. Got my copy of Halo 2 and I'm ready to go.
Going off like because I was gonna say something.
Every copy of Halo 2 came with a draft card.
And the song, that Breaking Benjamin song, "Blow Me Away." Yeah.
It's one of those ones too. Like you know they talked about like when Top Gun was so popular that they started like, shit, let's put out recruitment centers right outside of movie theaters, and people would see Top Gun be like so fucking amped up, be like yeah, be fucking like jerking their buddy off like yeah, and they'll be like, dude, a recruitment center, fucking A! Like, I'm gonna be Tom Cruise, I'm gonna be Iceman, I'm gonna be gay. They're all signing up, and then next thing you know, all those guys are fucking shipped off to boot camp. They're like, oh shit, now I'm cleaning latrines and so on. I didn't realize that the only guys that get to fly planes are either guys that were born because their pilot or their dad was a pilot already, or two, they went to school for like, you know, the highest degree and now they're gonna be a pilot. Like, none of us fucking normal guys who just like fucking did backflips off trees all day long be a pilot.
Well, they had a goal. I
feel like you almost could have done the same thing with like sort of those war games like in the Xbox days, you know, like, I mean, great to Call of Duty. Like, if Call of Duty had like a fucking like, hey, you get bonus XP points if you fill out this registration card. How many people would fill that out and be like, shit, I get double XP because I joined up the military? Awesome. You get double XP for life.
Oh, I get this. I get the special limited edition like rocket launcher for my character. Sign me up. No, there's actually, I saw my job. We have a I probably wouldn't have seen this ad anywhere else, but my job, we have a TV in the main room. They had like the most fucking propaganda ass like military ad.
Maybe was this the one that was kind of video game-ish themed?
Yeah, where it's just like where it shows like a cook like replenisher. It's just like some slicing a fucking like tomato midair.
That's my favorite part is like, because I saw that one because I was watching a UFC match with Josh and whatnot, and they played that ad like every single time it went to like a commercial break, and it was just like, it shows like the guy, he's like almost like he got like super speed like the Flash, and he's like running into combat, and it's like, and then it's, the best part though was the cook, because the cook like throws like a potato up in the air, and he has like this perfect like fucking like, looks like it's something out of like the Twin Snakes like cutscenes slice, like all stylized and everything, as he's slicing potatoes in midair.
And there's like communications and someone shooting like fucking like sound waves or some shit out of like, yeah, it was just like the most...
I felt like that was one of those ones like, I know what they're doing. They're going like, hey, kids are into this fucking superhero fucking shit nowadays, and they like the fucking weirdo like, you know, games where they get together and battle royale and stuff, and they got the funky costumes on, so sell it to those kids. You know what I mean? Like, shit, they'll figure out what's real once they get there.
Well, it was just such blatant fucking... Okay, because there's the whole thing about, there's that whole hoorah, hoorah, Marines shit, where they're playing like the Godsmack ad back when we were in high school.
Yeah. Stand alone!
No, there's the I Stand Alone one, just like, 'cause you I'm alive, 'cause you I'm awake. They're playing that one. It's like, and it's the guy, he's a famous actor, but I can't remember his name, but he voiced Arbiter, and he was also like the...
he's in
Requiem for a Dream.
They Live.
He might be in They Live.
He is. He's the...
Requiem for a Dream. I know it's
he's Spawn, too, in the HBO cartoon.
I know it's pretty, baby, but I didn't pull it out for hair. That guy?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Keith David.
Yeah. Keith David. He's all like, if you wrote a book on your life, would anybody want to read it? Then it just like, and then just like Godsmack plays. Well, at least it's not lying. It's at least showing like, okay, yeah, you're gonna be doing this shit. You're not gonna be doing like, you're not gonna be like Wally West,
like Hadouken and like running on the fucking side. Like they're selling it like it's gonna be like Titanfall or something like that. Be like, oh, y'all gonna be running up the side of buildings and so on like that. Be like, oh yeah, by the way, that's not. Yeah. You're not gonna be doing that.
No, so that was, yeah.
You have a high chance of cleaning up latrines, just letting you know.
I feel like there's also, I mean, now military shooter games and all that, like I think there's something about it when we were, how do I put it? I think there's something about like a lot of like newer AAA like shooter games. Now they're gonna kind of separate themselves from like things today, because I think something about when we were in high school, like Call of Duty, even though it was more like closer to college, but still around that same time. Halo, even though that's still sci-fi, maybe not the best example.
But you could just, in our time period, it would have been Medal of Honor, because that's the original Call of Duty.
Medal of Honor, but I feel like a lot of stuff like that still kind of had, and this isn't me complaining about either side, but I feel like it kind of had like this I could just be looking too deep into it.
They're very patriotic, those games.
Patriotic with a dash of like conservatism, but not to the level of like, vote Bush this year. Fuck Kerry. Nothing like that. But
they're not playing favorites as that. But no, I definitely agree that like those shooter games used to like they appealed to like the kid who wanted to fucking join up like in high school. Mm-hmm. Like I think they got it. They're like, you know what? Our target audience is the kid who's like, I fucking drive an ATV to school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a gun. I shoot.
I always wear camo.
I always wear camo. You know what I mean? And so on. Like, they were really appealing to that. And nowadays, because I know that's the thing that pisses off a lot of those people that like have been fans for like years and so on, is that a lot of those games will do the thing where like they pull like the sympathy card and they'll put things that aren't realistic in like war games and so on like that. And you know, they'll put like the characters be like, dude, that's not a real character. Like, why is that being sold is like the main thing. And you know, of course, PC and that kind of stuff. Don't want to really get into that, but I know that that's kind of thrown them off. In general, I still always like any of those shooters. Like, I've enjoyed all the Battlefields and all the Call of Duties. I mean, like, you play any of those campaigns, they're fun as fuck. I mean, like, I always say, like, it bums me out when I see those people that all they play is Madden and Call of Duty only, and that's it. You know what I mean? I feel like, I start feeling like fucking, what's his name in American Pie, like, Eugene Levy, like, when he's talking to Jason Biggs, and he's all like, you want to play a game, right? You want to play a game. So it's like throwing a ball against the wall. It's fun. But it's not a game. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I sort of feel. It's like, that's fun, don't get me wrong. Like, playing a little bit of football, playing a little bit of, like, Call of Duty online, it's fun. But, like, at the end of the day, you want to round it off with something. You know what I mean?
It's not a game. Just
can
like
you put a fucking, put a story in there, put a reason why you're doing this. Don't just continuously go in this circular loop.
Yeah. I just bring that up just because I noticed before they would be, like, because even in something like Halo, because I always kind of viewed that and not nothing too deep and not enough to like boycott this game or anything, but I always viewed it as space Republicans versus space terrorists.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. It always has been that though.
And they have
that's not a bad thing though.
And at the same time it still kind of had, because I remember reading the Fall of Reach book when it came out, and I barely remember it. But I remember the big thing that stood out to me is like, I don't know if I agree with that, but it was the thing like, we had to kidnap kids and train them, but hey, it was for the military. It fucking worked, didn't it? Shut the fuck up, you know?
You gotta go kill those dirty space terrorists and their fucking weird children that come running at you calling you a demon. Demon! You know what's the weird thing though is like, you know, I've just been kind of having another Halo marathon. Then I'm like the sad person, because I used to always play Halo with somebody else, and I feel like I've been playing through all the games by myself. It feels like...
Do you just hear like, off he goes, like just Pearl Jam, Off He Goes plays.
Off he goes to play some Halo 2 just by himself. Got no one to split screen.
Who knows his number? Nobody knows.
He's not gonna find a 12-year-old kid on the internet to play with.
God, Eddie Vedder is really getting this down.
You know, it's like kind of that, but it's like, it's so weird because when you sort of play Halo nowadays, like I think that like sort of when we were a kid, like Halo was being like, that was like, oh shit, it's like you're playing a fucking adult's game, you know what I mean, like that. But you know, when you play Halo nowadays, you're like, it's like 2 steps off from being like a Nintendo game. I don't mean it like in a bad way, but like, it's kind of cartoony. Like you don't like I like in my childhood brain, I picture it like, whoa, you know, here we are as fucking like, you know, kids, and you look at this like, dude, it's so fucking badass. It's like Aliens, the game, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I know there was an Alien versus Predator game this whole time, but like, it still kind of gave you that feeling anyways. And then like, you look at it as an adult, and you're like, shit, this could literally be backed up against Metroid Prime.
No, it wasn't, I think at the time, just because, well, I think, you know, people look at like, there's so much shooting, and whenever someone got shot, there was just like a little like weird splash of like just a little bit of blood against it, but it was super fake. And then Aliens always had blue and green blood, and I honestly think by today's standards that game could be a T, really.
Yeah, I think if that game was re-rated, it would be a T. I think it's one of those ones, the first Halo kind of got the mature rating just because at that time period, if you showed any kind of blood, you know, like GoldenEye kind of got away because I think the blood didn't fall out, it just stayed in the spot you shot at. But past that, because you know, like Perfect Dark had it where like the blood fell. And I think the other thing about Perfect Dark, which gave it a mature rating, is the guy screamed when you shot him. I remember that was a big deal. I remember driving home one time in like a buddy's car, and his dad's like, he was like going like, he's like, I buy you these games and I don't realize what they really are. He's like, I get your Resident Evil Director's Cut because you said it's gonna have less violence in it. It's got more violence in it. And then I buy fucking Perfect Dark and they run away screaming as you're shooting at them.
I just like fucking. First off, I'm guessing. I think I know what friend this is, without saying his name.
It starts with a J and ends with a B.
J. Oh, okay, J. Not the one I was thinking, but it still makes sense. But I can just imagine that. Like, well, this game, these ones are violent. Well, this one's the director's cut. Well, what do you mean director's cut? I mean, they cut it out of the violence out of it. Like all right, okay, it makes sense, you know.
But I just remember him going out like on a tangent, we're like in 4th grade or something like that. He's like fucking driving us home, just like playing about the mature rate video games. And then it's all of a sudden like you get there, it's like, well, what are you gonna do? Let's play some mature rate video games.
Something about your dad scolding us makes me want to play more M-rated games right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit of a puss. I really didn't start playing more M-rated games until like in secret, like in like middle school, here and there, like at a friend's house.
Yeah.
And then I actually, you know, then I'm like, I'm high school. I'm a man now. So if I can afford the game,
I have my own job. I deserve to buy my own games.
It's pretty much they stopped. They weren't checking in by that point. You know what I mean? So just like whatever.
Do you ever remember the first mature rated game you sort of got, like fully mature? Because I can remember like the first like MA13 game I got for Sega Genesis. I remember when I got like Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. It was like, oh shit, it's got an MA13 on it.
So the first mature game that you bought with your own money or you got for Christmas, something like that?
Anything. It could be just something that you got either,
not the first one I played, but I want to say...
Yeah, not played. I'm going to bypass played. It's going to be something that you actually got that either you bought yourself or your parents even bought for you.
I want to say the first mature rated game I got was Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence for PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, that one was really hard to find later down the line.
Yeah.
It was super expensive. But yeah, that was the... Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance was the first M-rated game I think I got. Yeah.
I remember the first one that I got was Resident Evil 2. And I remember because it was one of those ones where it's like... I think it was one of those time periods where it's like, oh, Mom, I need to buy her like an extra $5, you know, and I'll, work it off for the next month and a half.
That was the payment plan. It was like Pokemon
you were
Snap
just continuously in debt. That's all I remember. It was like you had like this credit card that had a very like low, like you had like a max limit of like maybe $100, but it would take you like almost a year to pay that off.
That's what I did. Let's see. I did that with my Dreamcast and like the two games I got with it, which was Sonic Adventure and like Street Fighter Third Strike. And that was like at the end of its life. Mm-hmm. I did that with Pokemon Snap, I remember.
Yeah.
I did that. There's got to be another one I did it with, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Yeah.
But I remember when I got Resident Evil 2, it was just one of those ones like, it was because, I was like, okay, Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation. It's going to be the fucking super mature game and so on like that. And it was just kind of like, it was almost that thing as a kid, like, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And didn't question it or anything like that. It was just like, she's going through with it. She gave me the extra $5. She's standing there. She can see the cover. Like, she sees that there's an M on there. It's not seeming to phase her anymore. You know what I mean? Like, because it probably was give or take maybe like a little over 10, 11, somewhere around there. It would have been like late 90s, maybe 99 or something like that. Like, somewhere around there. So it's like, Mom's like, oh God, it's going through. It's going through. It's going to work out.
I think I may have said this story in the podcast some years back, but I remember the first, like, parental advisory album I bought was the Matrix soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being at, like, it was my own money. I remember being at Best Buy with my dad. I'm probably like 12 or 13. And then I just, like, he says, all right, put whatever you're buying, and just throw it on the counter, and then just, like, hard eye contact. Just put down, like, the Matrix soundtrack. Has the parental advisory thing, just put it there, like, yeah, I'm a man now, Dad, you know?
Put a pack of cigarettes on top of it.
No filter.
Yeah, we're tearing those off.
Then I get home and I put it in my CD player in my room, and then just the first song that is that Marilyn. It turns down just a little bit, and then it's like I don't remember the lyrics, but it's like fuck all the sound up. Just like turn it down, like oh, Mom and Dad out here. Just like we'll turn it down really low and kind of sit next to the speaker.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I'm tough now. Wonder if I could do some bullet time.
You can shoot a backflip off my bed.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that was almost like a big thing where I feel like nowadays too. Like nowadays, if I see like a parent that like try to like holds their kids back from like a mature rated game, I almost feel like, did you guys not learn from our generation that like that screws kids over? Like I feel like you'll see that. I mean, I'll say this: if the kid's under 10, it's a little bit different. But the kid's over 10, I'm like, you're just gonna fuck that kid up for school.
I think it depends on the game. It also depends on like what the kid is. I'm not trying to be.
Well, I mean, it's not like I feel like, boy, you're 10 years old now. It's time to become a man. You grab that Clockwork Orange and put it in. Like you don't need to start like as hardcore as you can kind of get.
I'll say like if you're jumping from like let's say because there's a big jump between like the Halo franchise and Grand Theft Auto 5. Like that's a big jump right there. Because one of the characters you're playing as like a methed out drug addict. His introduction, he's doing a lady doggy style right in the middle of a fucking trailer. And then, he goes and stomps out her boyfriend's brains right in his front yard. And then you have the option if you want to back
just like your Uncle Billy.
Yeah. Like, oh, this is just like real life. It's fine, Billy. You've seen worse, yeah. And then and then right there, you have the option to get in the car and run over the lady or just banging if you want. So it's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't think if a kid sees that, he's going to suddenly go like, murder, murder, murder. But at the same time, it's like, I can understand like easing them in.
Yeah, well, I think there's a key thing, easing them. But it's almost like that thing, I feel like, once a kid's like 10 years old, start bringing out the diehards, the predators, and all that.
Well, especially this day and age, I feel like kids are way more. Even if they don't have a phone, their friend has a phone.
Yeah.
So.
And it's also like
every kid's a jerk off Johnny now.
Yeah. There's a lot more jerk off Johnnies in the world than there used to be.
Every kid is aware of every little fucked up thing.
So I feel like it's kind of dumb when you see people every once in a while try to like hold their kids back, because I just feel like you're just gonna screw that kid over in the long run as far as school goes. You gotta always think of school as being this very like predator dominant arena. It's like. School has never changed since like the Spartacus days, like the Roman era, like the Spartans. You know what I mean? It's still like when you go to school. I mean, I know that there's a lot more like choreographed dance and so on nowadays, that's shared among multiple cliques and so on that never would have been into that. But beyond that, though, I still think you always got to think of it like it's the most primal, like Fight Club nature area there is, and you got to say, my kid is the most prepared for this. You know what I mean? Like,
so sorry, I can't go to Chuck E. Cheese this weekend. Why? My dad is taking me spear hunting. For what? To prepare me. That's all he said.
He says, if your father was more of a man, you would prepare it. He'd be preparing you right now.
Have fun at Chuck E. Cheese, bitch. The word he told me to pass on to you.
And it's not saying to take kids away from fun, but I think there is that sort of thing where, I don't know, I just learned that my whole life is that, like, the kids that would, like, when we were growing up, the kids that would get held back being like, oh, my parents, like, I'm 15 years old, my parents still don't let me watch rated R movies. Those kids would end up doing more fucked up shit than the kid who was, like, 5 years old being like, yeah, my parents said I could dress up as Raiden for Halloween.
Yeah, there would be those kids that would just be like, the parents would say it right in front of the kids' friends, like, you're not allowed to be playing this, like, the Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
We know the Turbo Edition, we know what that means.
Like, there would be that, like, I remember there was a thing about, like, okay, there is, I guess that's just the thing.
Well, I remember, because it's weird because you don't think about it, but Street Fighter was a big deal.
It was. Well,
I remember because that was one of the first, like, and I guess you'd almost say violent games. I remember because my mom's like, I don't really like you having the fighting games, but I guess, it's like, you're 8 years old now.
Well, I guess, let's say you don't know.
Shit. You're
going to learn this shit eventually. You got to prepare them for school. But I know, there's some kid at school who knows how to do a hot oaken. Yeah. Or a spinning bird kick. Or red cyclone twister. No. That'd be so crazy. Just some kid.
Or just a spinning pile driver in midair.
No, there is, what was it? There was, I guess if you think about Street Fighter, because parents weren't used to that kind of shit, so they don't know the context of it. So when they just walk in a room and they see, like, like Blanca looking all, hey, like I just won, and then you pan over and you have a picture of Chun-Li, like with a single tear and a big bloody lip, like, what the fuck? Is he playing a game where he beats women? What is this shit? I don't know the context. Like, no, Dad, you can beat the shit out of anybody you play as. It's okay.
Well, that was like the thing too, is like, cause that was the worst part, because news reporters would like
show a picture of Cammy or Chun-Li with a busted lip,
and then like Zhang give him his arms up or something like that, just like murder the youth, murder the youth. Yeah. Or him doing like dancing with like Gorbachev or whatnot. Be like, see, this game is featuring to be goddamn commies, though it's 1993.
Well, that's the other thing about that game is it was just people. It happens every generation. People scared of what people scared of what they don't fucking understand. Now Street Fighter is so fucking tame compared to everything else they're complaining about. For a time, people were scared of The Simpsons. So
well, that's the thing too. Is I remember that was another one too.
Now Simpsons is basically a family show.
Yeah, it really is. And so on. But it's kind of weird how sometimes that can kind of go, because then there'll be those ones like that where it's like, okay, that was a big deal. That's a big deal, and then like. Sometimes I'll be playing a game nowadays, and I'll see a moment where it's like they still do like a cutaway, and I'm like, really, like this day and age, you can't just show that ultra violence right there. Like that's still like a hard one to pull. Like like you'll still see that in games where they'll still pull away. Like something might be too much here and there. Like it mostly happens during cutscenes, less during like other stuff. But like I kind of feel like
You were complaining, I think, about that with like Gears of War or something, weren't you?
I think even might have been Gears of War something like that. Like in a cutscene, I don't know if it was that, but it's like yeah, like they'll do the thing where like they pull away, and I know that like movie companies used to always pull that card where they'd be like, you know, if they don't see it, it's actually more effective. And I always used to be like, bull fucking shit, you're just being cheap. That's all. I felt like that was always a line to be like, we didn't want to get Tom Savini down here to make the fucking special effects.
There's that. Well, I think there are times.
I mean, I will say there's a time and a place for it. You know what I mean? I think certain things you can kind of, you know, be more effective with. You know?
I feel like, well, I mean, this is more of a kids thing. But still, like, probably one of the best examples. The Batman the Animated Series, the way they showed, like, Robin's parents dying, which is you saw them swinging.
And you saw a silhouette of the shadow.
Silhouette of the shadow, and then you saw the thing swing back, just, like, broken or cut or something like that. Like, that in itself is like, oh, that's an artistic way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not, and if they did have the balls to go, like twitching, like, down the ground.
Also, and that's a little bit different because that's the PG show. That's not... When
Yeah.
something's already like full on R or mature rated, I think that's when it's kind of weird to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
if you're doing it like artistically in like a lower rating, I get it. Like that, I'm not complaining any of those things. I just think when you get like a super mature game and then all of a sudden you're like, that was too extreme still.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's going back and forth though, because I feel like there's a point where people were being like, "Oh my God, have you seen the punching in this Smash Brothers?" Actually, by that, it's not the best example, but it's just something ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that was still. I remember Smash Brothers did kind of carry a weird weight.
But it's Mario and Pikachu. They're the good ones, right? Kinda, you know. But then like that was like the franchises you didn't have to worry about your kids shooting up a school over.
Yeah.
But then they were punching each other. Like, wait, what's going on here? But I remember it came back. It would always come in waves, and I want to say San Andreas is the one where it made a big wave for a minute. People tried to make a big wave with Grand Theft Auto 5, and most people were just dismissed it, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, by the time Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, nobody seemed... I think as Rockstar became such a giant company that people stopped caring.
Uh-huh.
It felt like when it was like 3, Vice City, San Andreas, that was like... And even I remember even Grand Theft Auto 2. Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, like, I know those games weren't nearly as big, but I remember, like, that was games like, God forbid you wanted to get caught playing that game. Like, Jesus. Like, because, in a sense, it's all the same things. It's just in, like, top-down view, but you're still just shooting people whenever you feel like it, running people over and so on like that. Now, granted, I remember, like, trying to explain that game. Like, you just play that game to, like, a parent, be like, well, the game, it's more like it gives you the choice, like, just like real life. I could shoot somebody in real life, but I could also be a good guy and just follow along. And if I'm just doing the story missions, it's no different than Robert De Niro, like in Goodfellas or something.
So, Mr. Principal, you want me to be the good guy, right?
Right?
You want me...
I have a choice, an American choice.
Mr. Principal, so I want to be the good guy. Don't make me the bad guy.
And that's sort of kind of how it would be, because it did have that sort of thing that, like, I always, because even I will say, if you play Grand Theft Auto, I mean, like, Grand Theft Auto, like, especially when you take 3, where it's like, yeah, if you felt like just going around and shooting people, you could. But that's not really what the game is. It just happens to have that option that you could do that, too. Mm-hmm. The game wants you to follow the story, and the story, generally, you're just killing bad guys anyways.
Yeah. Well, I also, this kind of goes back to what we were talking at the beginning, which is about, like, generational stuff. And to bring it back around to that, there's that point, I'm not trying to attack just like a whole generation or anything like that, but there was that thing back when, parents would look at any number of things, like, this isn't gonna last, this is a fade. Like, video games were a fade, and they weren't
gonna last. Yeah, in the 70s, it wasn't gonna go any farther than this.
Yeah, and then in the 80s, they still came back, they kind of came back around, and then it's all a fad. It's all eventually gonna go away, but it didn't go away. And then something like, Pokemon comes out. It's a stupid fad. It's going to go away. And now it's
strong as ever.
Maybe there was that little dip after the first 2 years it came to America, but then it came back.
Yeah, there was the 5 dark years, pretty much. That's what it was.
But then, yeah,
there was just that like inner moment between the Pokemon fans where like, oh shit, we're coming into like middle school, high school, and for some reason it's not cool to be playing video games and things like that. So you got to hide that Pokemon at home, keep it in the closet.
And then when all those kids got through those 5 dark years, they came back like, fuck, it's cool, I like it, yeah. So now that's back and bigger than ever. I mean, a theatrical movie came out like 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like a theatrical live action movie. And then like, you know, there's plenty of other things. So not just video game stuff, but clearly there is this thing that adult and like also like what's video games gonna do? How are you gonna get by playing video games? Well, look at Let's Players. I'm not gonna say every Let's Player is a millionaire. Not every Let's Player is the Game Grumps or PewDiePie or whoever. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, it happened for him. It happened.
Yeah, it's more than just a couple people.
So it's also at the same. So it's one of those things when you don't. I understand what you mean when you're talking about getting older. Like you don't want to just be dismissive of things you don't know.
Well, yeah, you don't want to. I think that's the key like roundabout kind of conversation is you don't want to become that person who starts just. In a sense, putting yourself in a box. I feel like that's kind of what it is. You lock yourself off to all you sort of know, and it's almost like you don't want to learn anymore. That's kind of how it comes across. It's like you've given up on learning, and I think you still always want to be open-minded. I'm not saying you gotta do everything. You don't gotta go like show up to the high school with the fucking van and be like, "Hey kids, you guys playing Fortnite?" No.
Just get in the van. I got a whole setup in my basement.
Yeah, no. You don't gotta
ignore
do that.
the padlocks.
I don't mean that, but it's like you should kind of keep up. Like, hey, if there's something a new coming out, or it's like I see people do it where like, who cares about a PlayStation 5 or like an Xbox Series X? I mean, like whatever. It's just something. It's like I never want to lose that being like. I always have cared about like when a new system came out, like you know what I mean. Like it was amazing when the Super Nintendo came out. It was amazing when like a Sega Saturn and a N64, and it was amazing as GameCube and so on. Like I don't want to lose the whimsy. I sometimes almost even think in my life that I like to keep, I want to keep the whimsy of a 10-year-old boy, the free spiritedness of a 17-year-old, yet the wisdom of being like whatever age you are, and you kind of mix those all together. I think that's a good like trifecta. Of having all that there, like you never want to lose that 10-year-old boy spirit, I think, or girl, I guess.
That'd be a good title for your autobiography. Don't lose the whimsy.
Yeah, just
picture of you looking out of the sunset or some shit.
At the end of the day, if there's a fucking new Sonic game coming out, there should be that 10-year-old boy view who's like, fuck yeah. I mean, maybe it might not work out, but fuck yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Keep that spirit alive, where you don't become like, I played Sonic back in the day. I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna go down to my law office.
There's some franchises I'm willing to part ways with, but there are other ones who are like, you know what? Let's give this a chance. Like for me, that was Pokemon. Because I was one of those people who just like, I mean, I think the main thing that made me lose interest was the show. Yeah. Because I realized the show's not going anywhere, and that's what pulled me into it in the first place. And then there's a peer pressure of like, you like Pokemon? Well, just the game is fun, but
we live in the very end of like the transitional like time period. Because I feel like it always seemed like a handful of years after like we kind of were like down at school, it seemed like you would just see like kids left and right and be like, oh, so you guys can just freely walk around just displaying this stuff, and you and the hot girls and all this can all be into that at the same time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was that period where you're like, well, I'm fucking like that when we were there. I mean, people were still judgmental, and they still, you know what I mean? Like, because I think they just had that, like, under your thumb, goof, under your thumb.
Well, I remember I went to, like, this had to be college, and I was in Hawaii. And while going along the beach, I just saw, like, a ridiculously smoking hot girl wearing, like, a Squirtle bikini. Yeah. Where it was like the top was made to look like his face and his eyes, and the bottom was made to be like his kind of like the his back shell. The shell kind of. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, all right. Well, because she can get away with it.
Because the thing is, like, I remember just when we went to high school and everything like that, I felt like that's probably how.
To clarify, she was like somewhere in her 20s. She was like in her early 20s.
So you weren't in the van holding up the Jesus sign. But no, it's like I always think it's like really like the difference is that like when we were in school, like the only girl that would have done that, you would have been like fucking, you would have had like a 50-foot pole and be like, stay the fuck away from me. No. Like, because that was the thing, is it seemed like the only girls that really played video games were kind of creepy almost, like in a sense. They were just like,
they're the ones that bottled it up, or there was occasionally like the cool tomboy chick that, like, here's what I actually think happened. There's a couple of those. It's on different levels. There's the creepy ones.
Yeah, the creepy ones who are just like
No
way
social-
nerdier and way, like you almost were just like, oh, well, like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a reputation of them.
It's not that good a reputation, but
But
still,
but
it's my reputation.
But it's still like something.
Then there was the girls that were like, they were the cool nerdy girl, and they had other interests, but they still liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were the girls that actually did like it, but they didn't let people know they liked it for one of two reasons. And I remember talking to one girl, we didn't go to high school together, but we were on the same age, and we got on the subject of this. And she was like, the thing is, I really liked Digimon and Dragon Ball Z and all that kind of stuff when I was in high school. The thing is, I knew my dad and all that would disapprove, my parents would disapprove, and on top of that, if I talked to, like, say, a nerdy guy, and he realized a halfway attractive girl liked something he would like, he had an in, and he would not leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, it probably was dangerous.
Yeah, so just kind of like, because I remember we could say his name, fuck it, he's not gonna listen. Remember that kid in, like, middle school, not middle, but let me say middle school, in community college, Isaac!
Yes. Yes.
There's this one girl that he would pester, and she was a friend of mine, and she was just like, she's like, the thing is, he's always trying to talk to me about anime or whatever, and the thing is, I actually really like anime, but I cannot say that to him, because if I do, he's not gonna go the fuck away.
And that's probably because, like, realistically, like, the term nerd, I feel, is always very, like, thrown around nowadays. Like, everybody thinks they are. Like, somebody could be like, I just saw that Pokemon movie. I'm now a fucking nerd. It's like, and it's, like, almost kind of obnoxious. Like, I feel like it's a derogatory term in the first place.
Big Bang made it kind of popular.
Yeah, I think Big Bang is, like, that's, like, the thing that almost, like, just, like, really ruined it. But, when I always think of, like a nerd, because I don't even consider, like, me and you really fucking nerds. Like, because there's, like, I know, like, somebody, like, older might go like, those fucking nerds. They're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog like in their fucking 30s.
When saying something to like someone on the someone who's not part of the scene, we talk about nerd culture or whatever on the show. Maybe just say that just to kind of like sum it up.
Yeah, but
I know what you mean though.
When I really think of it though, those like the pure when you think of a real fucking nerd, it's like they are those kind of guys like where they are just like they're almost a little too weird that you go like I don't even know how anybody can really hang out. Like, they almost go so deep into, like, not just, like, they're deep into it, but, like, they just kind of get to a place where they're almost, like, not really social and so on. And I think that's where those girls kind of got the fear from, is they didn't want that guy to be, like, those guys are, like, borderline stalkers.
Hey, ladies!
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? So it's, like, they've gone past about being a reasonable, like, human being to being kind of like, what you see in a horror movie, but, maybe one step up from that part.
Some Perfect Blue shit.
Yeah, so it's like, I kind of can get it, and I think that's sort of how it is. It's like so many things. I mean, there's, like, not only was it, like, one point in time, there was the girls that couldn't, like, be into it. There was also, we all know there was the guys who also couldn't be into it, too, because their family lifestyle wouldn't really let them. I always say, like, there's those kind of guys that are kind of those blue-collar guys and, like, good old boys, but you could tell deep down inside, they really just wanted to fucking, like, anime it up and fucking bust out the GameCube and, like, you know what I mean? Just play RPGs till, like, the fucking, like, sun went up and down multiple times over.
Oh, we had a friend who's, he has a connection to this podcast. We won't say his name, but, he's not been on the show, but we just have a connection to different things we've done on the channel. He was one of those people, like, he loved Star Wars, past tense, loved Star Wars and Star Trek, but he definitely had one, and he went hunting, and he went ATVing, and he did have a little, like, he wasn't a fan of everything, like, he wasn't a fan of, like, Pokemon, he wasn't a fan of, like, anime in general, but there were things that, like, he was interested in, that he was kind of afraid to, like, give a chance. I remember I showed him, like, I let him borrow like a season set of Aqua Teen Hunger Force back when that was like my favorite show.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I fucking love that show, whatever. And then like I let him borrow season 2, and another friend of his who happens to be into the same shit as other shit he's into happened to be over, and he's like, yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't find it that funny. Just something like, Oh, you gave in.
You let somebody else like make the decision for you.
You gave in. He was over, and you felt weird watching it, and you gave in. Okay. And then don't get me wrong, there are those things that I'm not gonna lie. When I was a kid, I would be like, dude, you gotta check this anime, and I probably pushed a little hard in some cases. I'm not gonna lie. There's some of those social cues, like maybe I should let him watch all of Evangelion before I show him the end of Evangelion.
You don't think those things through as a child. I think that's just always how it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the movie, the end of Evangelion, because you just want to show them that badass fight. Where
yeah, but you don't realize it doesn't have context without seeing the beginning stuff.
Yeah. So, but then like the whole thing after that, it's just like later, like you just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, and he kind of kept his distance. Then we bumped into him like after high school, and they saw some of the cartoons, some of the other videos you're making. He just got this look of, fuck, I miss that.
Yeah, and it's like,
and he was funny too. He was fucking funny.
And he's funny. And I met a lot of people like that too, which I always feel like they're like those closet, like they just. And it's almost that thing. It's just like it goes down to that thing that you should always be open and allow yourself to kind of be into stuff. And even like as anybody else, it's like you should never really tell anybody what they should or should not be into. I mean, I think always think that's the worst thing is trying to push like not saying you can't introduce stuff to people and things like that, but when you say like you got to do this and not that, like that's always the wrong way to it. Because I don't know, there's some just being real open to ideas, and I think that comes down to even like our kind of solo topic of this kind of whole thing is that like when you get older, you don't want to turn into that person who becomes that like little Billy, like this is what you got to be into and so on. Like you want to be that person, be like, dude, fucking be into it. You want to almost be like have like that almost. I feel like you want to be that kind of uncle guy who comes in with a fucking beer and a koozie and a big fucking smile on his face, and he's like, "Hey, Billy, you see the fucking internet lately?" And fucking type. You know what I mean? You like I feel like you want to come in and be like,
want to see something fucked up?
Yeah, you want to be like that, like the cool fucking guy who's open-minded to everything, who's in the fucking know, who'd be like, I always remember, like, I have my Uncle Ed, and I always remember, like, he was the guy who was the definitive, he always remembered, like, when
Uncle
he talked.
Ed, definitely just by the name.
By the name, and he talked like he was fucking David Lee Roth, like, so he had, like, that kind of voice, and then he always had the ball cap on with, like, the curly hair sticking out the back, a beer and a cozy, red face, always smiling, and he'd be like, he'd show up, like, when I was, like, 8 years old, and be like, dude, check the fucking internet. You got the internet now? This is amazing. Have you ever done online gambling? Here, let me show you. Like, I'll get you an account and everything like that. And then I remember it was right when Heavy Metal 2000 came. I was like, dude, you gotta check out Heavy Metal 2000. And it was just like, that's the thing. It's like, I felt like that. There's a very open mind. Like, he keeps it fresh, and that's what keeps it cool. And you never forget those sort of things because those stick kind of with you and so on. I think that kind of comes full circle that you want to be that kind of open guy who, even though like you're living in the future and so on like that, you're not stuck to your like time period. You're not locked into just like your 10 golden years or whatnot. You're like, fuck it. You know what? If there's this new game series coming out, I'm going to fucking into it. If there's a new movie coming out, I'm fucking there. Like, I don't want to be that person who be like, oh, it's just a new movie. I don't want to see it.
The only thing is, I guess,
I agree with everything. But
I agree with you on that, and like you just said, it doesn't have to be everything.
Yeah.
I think it just becomes hard because when you get older, you just associate a generation with these 5 things over here. So I can understand, like, I don't know. I'm imagining, like, I don't have kids right now, but I'm imagining if I did, the probably kid would be too young to listen to. But let's just say I had like a 10-year-old kid, and that kid loved like SoundCloud mumble rappers.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
fucking weird.
I would not want to initially be the one that like I don't know. It's just one of those things because like I said, you don't want to be the parent who just dismisses everything just to find out that was the big thing years down the line. At the same time, though, there are things just fall by the wayside, and you just want to be aware of it. Like, is all this shit, maybe not every rapper, but like, is some of this shit going to be relevant? Like, I don't know, Tekashi 6ix9ine. People are like, oh man, he's a fucking idiot. Fuck him. I don't give a shit. I don't really listen to his music. I watched the documentary. That doesn't make me an expert on the guy, but fuck him. And it just, the only reason he's popular is because enough dumb fucking kids like him. I'm not going on this to rant on like
the fucking kids these days.
But this is what I'm talking about.
Kids
as far
are fucking
as
stupid. I'll even say I think kids are fucking stupid because I'll say this: even when we were kids, we were fucking stupid.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. There is that thing, and like it's just the new version of. It's really. I mean, I'm not saying like Because not every hair metal band made it. Not every hair metal band stood.
No,
out.
you remember like the top 10 almost.
You remember
of every
Poison. You remember Poison. You
White
remember
Snake, Rat.
Motley
LA
Crue,
Guns, Motley Crue. Yeah, there's the ones you remember, but like. Generally most people aren't like Bullet Boys, fucking A.
Exactly.
I'm not saying anything against them, but that's kind of how it is. And I think in the long run, it's like grunge rock music.
It's the new shock value. It's the like mumblecore rap, whatever. I'm not into it. It's the new shock value. So it's kind of like, but at the same time, as a parent, it's got to be really hard to be like watching some like dumb fucking 21-year-old with rainbow teeth and like hair that looks like a bag of Skittles jizzed in, so it's just like this is who he fucking wants to be like. This is who he likes, and the stupid shit that's coming out of his fucking face right now.
Billy, don't you want to go put makeup on and tease your hair up and get leather jackets and and look sexier than the girl next to you?
I like when Bill Burr had a good bit, like she's like, no, this ain't fucking music. In my day, you dressed like a woman and sang about the fucking devil. You had a perm while doing it.
And sometimes I do think there is that kind of thing that like,
because imagine your kid, like there's some shit we don't know what's gonna come next, so
it's
like some kid's like, Dad, you want to check out Spunk Knuckle? Like what?
Yeah.
Spunk Knuckle. Like what is that? It's a new game / like social media thing. Like what do? You just jizz on your fucking knuckles. It's the new thing. Like, what? Yeah! Like, we don't know what the fuck the future's going to hold.
Maybe that is the cool thing and shit.
Yeah,
That'll stick around, I don't know. I always just think about, like, there's even, like, before, like, social media was really a popular thing, and they had, like, those, like, the proto-social media.
Friendster and all that.
Before that, even, almost. Remember there was, like, thing like Gaia?
Yeah. There was the thing where, like, people would have their own little, like, anime character walk around, like...
And you get, like, points, and then you would get, like... You could get better outfits and stupid shit like that.
I never played it, but I saw kids playing it in high school, and I figured... And a lot of time I would see it was a guy playing, and I'd see he was playing as, like, some scantily clad anime girl... And I'm like, what conversation does he have going on over there?
With the other guy. Well, I feel that's a lot of times what they always end up being. But I remember, like, that was the thing. It's like, a lot of times there's those things that I felt like, even as a kid, it's like, well, I'm doing this because I'm in school, but, like, I'm not doing it when I'm at home. Like, I even had that, like, notion, like, when there was, like, you could do almost, like, jerk-off Johnny stuff while you're in his class, but it's like, you don't do it when you're at home.
There's
like,
a time and a place.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm at school, I got time to kill. Like, that was almost how it sort of was. It's sort of like phone games. Like, I feel like phone games, if you're like sitting at work or school or something, you need something to kill time, they're great for. But the second that you're at home, you're like, I got real fucking video games. Like, shit.
I mean, I guess there are those games, or like, there are those games that I think one day phone, I don't want, like you said, you don't want to be the old guy just dismiss the shit. One day I think phone games will probably produce something really great. And right now they have ports of like good games on the phone.
I will say, actually, legitimately, you flip through the Google store or the iPhone store or whatnot like that, like they literally have just as good of games as anything else. And you hook a Bluetooth controller to it, you literally just have your phone's now a Game Boy. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
just a pay to play kind of.
Yeah, but like that's what I mean, like by phone games. Like I kind of go like that. I always feel there's console games that are on phones, and then there's phone games which are just meant to be like kind of like the hey, this is here to kill your smoke break.
Yeah, there was one that
people used to smoke, now they have a game.
Well, I remember there was a game, the last phone game I think I downloaded and almost got rid of immediately. It was a Rick and Morty Pokemon parody game, and it was officially a Rick and Morty game, and it was basically just like you're basically Rick. And you're going out capturing different Mortys out, and like each more like this, and they're ridiculous. Like this is Long Tongue Morty, this is Morty on Fire Morty, and it kind of had like dumbed down, simplified Pokemon rules. But the thing is, you would be like you're in a dungeon. Like this seems simple enough, but in order to like get health or any of that, you actually probably had to pay money, because by the time you got halfway through the dungeon,
you'd run out.
You'd run out of health or attack points, and I'm like, oh, it's one of these.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Yeah, I mean, those games. Yeah, I mean, like I got kind of mixed feelings about. I mean, like, not really in for me, but I always feel like as long as you're not spending any more money than it would cost you to buy an actual game, that's how I sort of look at it.
Well, that's what they want you to do, though. They want you to spend more money than it would cost to buy
than it actually did an actual game. And so I'm
sure if you played them, they're fun. They're easy to probably get addictive, but at the same time, I feel like there's better games now. Unfortunately, I think that's where most turn-based RPGs are now.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I've never even really... I mean, like
just
the old
ads
ones.
for them. Like, they look like a lot of, like, dragons and shit.
Well, I think because it's like, you can do them kind of once again, like on your smoke break. Because that's why I kind of feel like sometimes you always kind of forget about that, but you're like, before someone had a cell phone in their hand, like you could be like, oh, I got 15 minutes to kill.
I guess I'll just kill myself.
There we go. All right, give me something to do. Like, I really think that was what it is. It's almost like it kind of went like, you know what I mean? Because like you think about like these are those small things you don't think about. But like when you go somewhere, like say you gotta wait like in an office or something like that, you pull out your phone, you're like, fuck, I'm gonna watch a movie right now. Cool. Or I'm gonna read a book or a comic or something like that. But there used to be a time period where you just sat there like twiddling your thumbs and you're like, fuck.
We have no patience anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's like, nowadays it's like it's almost not that big of a deal though.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, I felt like there was less patience. Now it's like,
more patience because we have less patience now because we don't have because we have a phone. If we don't have like something to occupy ourselves, like,
yeah.
Oh fuck, what are we doing? Huh?
Well, I guess back in the day you pull out like a magazine. You're like, people.
I never read this anyway.
Yeah, because that's why it's
people. Well, I'm a person.
Yeah, so you kind of get that, but like I think of so many things like that, and like that's why I almost feel like that's almost where like smoking kind of came in. It's be like, hey, Sonny, you bored? You got 15 minutes to kill? Have a smoke.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have a smoke. And it's like that. And then like nowadays, it's like I don't feel like nowadays like it's one of those things I think people take for granted. But it's like, dude, like you can wait for 3 fucking hours. Who cares? I'll throw a fucking movie on. Boom, 3 hours killed.
Yeah.
Small things like that you don't really think about. Shit, nowadays it's like I'll just pull up my Xbox, boop, sit there like I can wait all day. I got fucking the Master Chief Collection going. They're signing me up for the military. Thing they don't know, I'm over 30. I can't go in.
Oh, you don't want me? Too bad. What a shame. It looks like I still got those points from that code you gave me for Call of Duty.
It's like you get the 2 times experience for life. That's like I think that's like always the fear that there's like certain like activist groups out there that like because there's always those people out there that like are always like, oh no, those war games are just propaganda for kids going to war. No, it's fucking crazy. I mean, like granted, I think it's always going to attract the kid who's like 5 years old playing a fucking army man is like, one day I'm gonna shoot somebody. Like.
Well, it's also kind
I feel that kid like the video games doesn't make it. If the video games weren't there, he's still going to war no matter what. I mean, like.
Well, it's like that thing with the old episode of Simpsons with Marge Simpson's just like, I think that Itchy and Scratchy is a little too violent, and then they have the whole thing where they're like, hey, is this Marge Simpson, the lady who nearly got her show canceled? Oh yeah, I believe it is. Like, well, I think we were trying to run an idea by you. So like, Itchy stole Scratchy's pie, and he wants to throw him in a vat of acid. Is that okay with you? How about they share the pie? And they become friends after and thank each other. I'm like, oh, all right, we'll do that. His rating just fucking drop.
That's always the thing. It's like that. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna sell anything like that because nobody cares. And I don't care. At the end of the day, like I always feel like when I watch an Itchy and Scratchy, I feel like I laugh just as hard as like Bart and Lisa always do on there. It's always like just makes me like laugh. It's like because it's funny.
It's Tom and Jerry on crack.
That's exactly. It's super good, But yeah, no, in a roundabout fun way, I think that's the key thing is no matter what, you make sure that you still you don't get yourself trapped in any fucking foxhole. You know what I mean? You get yourself out of there. If there's a new fucking game coming out and you fucking like that series, don't fucking argue with yourself. Let that 10-year-old boy make decisions in your life. Don't let that fucking old man over your shoulder fucking tell you what to do. You know what I mean?
Imagining this is Mario saying this to, like, a toad in a lifeboat as Isle Delfino's on fire behind him.
Yeah, exactly. But it is that thing. It's like, you know what? If you want to fucking listen to a new fucking heavy metal album, you fucking throw that thing on. You know what? You fucking rip your shirt off. Who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Like, you do what you want. And I think there is something to be kind of said about, like, you want to be careful not to get too comfortable. Because I think that's the downfall. Is you get comfortable, and the more comfortable you get, it's easier to become lazier and lazier, and then going, just
stick to the 5 things you know.
Yeah. And I feel like you almost want to, like, sort of like that thing that every once in a while you need to sort of electrify yourself and give yourself a stimulus. I'll use this one real example. I know we're kind of getting towards the end here, but, like, it's when you meet people that go like, yeah, I don't really go to concerts anymore. It's just it sounds like effort, sounds like work, and something like that. I mean, granted, we haven't been able to go to a concert for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm almost having this urge to be like, man, fucking, like, shit, I want to go to a concert.
I'm
but
mad because this last year, not to steer it, but I was supposed to see Iggy Pop and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. And it's like one of those ones, like, I think, like, concerts, and I'll even actually say the movie theaters like this, too, because people used to do the same thing, too. They'd be like, I just don't care for the movie theater anymore. It's just, you know what I mean? once you sort of like, once you make yourself kind of lazy and don't show up to it and so on like that, like, of course, it fades out of your memory, like, what it's sort of like, how cool it is. Because it's like, once again, like, you go back to a concert, you go back to a movie theater, and you get there and you go like, oh, duh, I know why this is really awesome. Like, I remember this.
Speaking on the movie theater thing, not to sideline us again, to me, it depends on the theater. And it depends also on the town. It really, because, like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm at that point now where it might sound a little elitist, but I will be willing to pay an extra $10 to have, like, armed security guards and make people shut the fuck up in the movie. And, like, you know, don't ever see a movie in Daly City. I don't know what's in the water over there, but if you ever go to like an AMC in Daly City, it's just like people talking on their phones throughout the whole fucking movie. Doesn't matter if you're seeing like a Judd Apatow comedy or a new Marvel movie or they don't play art films there, so why the fuck am I even going with that? But you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Like, I've had that experience. I mean, I know it's only like one time. I remember going to Manteca and having to like, oh, these people are fucking talky as all fuck. You know what I mean? Like, so there's certain things, like, I agree there. Like, movie theaters, like, you definitely need to have the right one. Like, a lot of times, once you kind of know your theater, you can kind of, you pick the times. You know what I mean? There's sometimes, you know, I mean, really, generally, if you want to just avoid the madness.
Yeah, not trying to split hairs.
And you don't want to be, you know, I mean, I like going fucking day one because that's just, it sounds weird. The chances of me seeing a movie after day one, it drops significantly. Like, if there was like like, I'll go see a movie day one, super that. The second that it's like day 2 and 3, my percentage of seeing it's like, I might go see it.
No, I get you.
But like a lot of times, like, you can always do the classic, go see it at noon on a Tuesday, you know, or maybe Wednesday. Because sometimes Tuesday gives you like the cheap days. You don't want to have like tightwad Tuesday people there.
Yeah. Well, when I lived in San Francisco, I lived like within walking distance of 2 theaters, and if a movie wasn't playing at one of those 2 theaters, I had to go downtown to one of the big cinemas.
To one of the shitty ones.
And there you would have, like, you know, some asshole, like, recording it on his phone or all that kind of shit. And that just got old. Like, it's like, hey, man, can you guys stop talking?
2 weeks
like,
later, that guy's trying to sell it to you at your doorstep.
Yeah, so it'd be like, you know, so it's just one of those things, like, when at that point in the podcast where I started seeing less movies, like, well, I'm sorry, that's half my day to go see a movie.
That's kind of the downfall of like city theaters, though. City theaters can sometimes be kind of junk like that. Not saying that other theaters can't be too, but city theaters you can almost get a little bit more shitty people. I guess you just have a bigger population. The percentage of getting a shittier person is much like more increased.
Yeah, something about that. But anyway,
but it's just that kind of thing though. Like, more the thing is just like when people kind of go like they don't like the movie theaters, they don't like the concerts, so on like that. I feel like you forgot what it's like to be there. You forgot the magic. You forgot, like, you know what I mean? Because that's what it sort of is. It's almost like one of those ones. It's like in fucking Hook. When Peter Pan, he fucking stayed out in Neverland for way too long. He got a fucking, you know, like, real fucking job. You know what I mean? He ain't having fun anymore. He ain't fucking banging mermaids and fucking Native Americans. He's now, like, fucking, you know, selling businesses and buying other people's product and dismantling them and so on like that. He forgot. But once he goes back to Neverland and he's been there and he fucking drinks the fake food and, you know, eats the fake water. And yes, I said it backwards because that's how everything is there.
To be fair though, even though I agree with the message of that movie, there's the part where the kids are being loud, stupid, annoying. He's on like an important business call, like flopping around.
Oh yeah.
Flopping around the room, you see the shadow of the one kid. The mom who doesn't fucking work is there.
Not doing her fucking job.
She could have easily said, kids, dad's on the phone. Dad's on the phone.
Kids, how do you think we came to London? Because dad makes fucking money.
Exactly. No one says that in the fucking movie.
No,
I just want to say.
I will agree. I do agree with that. But I think the thing is...
Peter, you lose... This is the one time your children will love you. In 5 years, they're not going to love you like they do now. And all you want to do is push them away. No, I just want to make sure we still have enough money to get back on the fucking plane after Christmas.
Yeah. You know what? Because here's the thing. The fucking stories, you know, about my fucking life, I don't get paid for.
Yeah, it's public domain. Why is Robin Williams putting on a Brooklyn accent?
And that's like Bob Hoskins.
It's a creative choice. Yeah. He and Bob Hoskins switched roles.
Yeah.
Williams is playing Shmi.
But it is that sort of thing, though. I feel like that the analogy of that, though, is that, like, don't you forget your inner Peter Pan. You know what? You want to be that kid who's like, fuck it, it's the weekend, I'm gonna get a fucking pizza. I'm gonna go to the fucking movies. I'm gonna fucking hang out, and I don't give a flying fuck. Because you know I could be fucking dead tomorrow. So let's fucking enjoy it now. Who the fuck cares about saving for later in life? Because you know what? You could be fucking dead. Just saying.
Brought to you by Edward Jones.
Because it is true, you know. I mean, there was a guy I knew once, and he was a great guy. He was older, you know. He's in his 60s and so on like that. And he had the dream that he's like, I'm gonna fucking sell T-shirts. I'm gonna have this fucking mobile unit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. I got stock saved up. It's gonna be cool. Just waiting. And then he eventually passed away. And it was like a turning point where it's just like, never have that waiting period. Just do it now, and you'll figure it out later. We live in America. Fucking, if anything, America provides.
Yeah.
Whether you think it or not. Like, look at all those, like, low income, like, fucking housing units where people pay, like, $10 a month to live. Worst case scenario, you'll be down there. The government will give you a fucking apartment. That's the worst case scenario in America. As long as you don't do drugs. That's the worst case. If you do drugs, they're not going to give you it. But if you don't do drugs, that's the worst place you're going to be. You're going to be living with the derelicts.
Or just don't let them know you do drugs.
Yeah. But you're going to be living with the derelicts and, like, you know, the born-again Christians and so on like that, and the special ed kids. And, you know, but that's the worst case scenario. That's not so bad. Shit. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you know what, fuck, you can Big Lebowski it and so on if need be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's so.
No, that's a good way to. No, I agree. That's a good way
know, it's that thing.
Here and now, and
it's that sort of thing that, like, you don't want to get too into, like, the adult thing where it, like, takes over your life, and next thing you know, like, you lose the whimsy of the 10-year-old boy, the free spirit of the 17-year-old.
You see that. It's just all about maintaining that balance.
Yeah, balance. It's just like a kung fu thing. Everything's like a kung fu thing. It's all about the yin and yang. But, beyond all that fun stuff, you can always go to oldmanorange.com. More podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, old animation, and all that fun stuff that we do. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
Hey, see you some other time.
Later, folks.